All righty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and we made it our mission to help you guys own it. We have a great week ahead of us. It's Monday. Stock market's kind of been flat, but Fat Man Zoom, before we get into any of our topics, why don't you hit everybody up with a starting five?
Starting five, Tiger's Edge, Jeff Panika, Rudy Brown, G Money 23, and Savvy Money Show. You are starting five, guys. Welcome to Own the Chaos. If you haven't been here before, you probably thought there was no sound, but we were muted because that's our pre-show. You guys can see what we got going on. We're just chilling.
Talking to you, Oliver.
You guys will eventually get that. But this is On the Chaos. We're obviously going over earnings towards the end of this. Lucid, probably the biggest name in there. But we'll go over earnings. We'll discuss sort of what our expectations are, maybe give some predictions. And then after the bell, we'll watch the charts. We'll report the numbers and give sort of our response and our reaction to those. But first, let's just start in the market. And how has it been? How's it been today for you?
It's been really, really boring. I'm literally down like $17 today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's been a little all over the place, but generally all day it's been stuck right in the middle. So I haven't gone anywhere. I'm up on some things, I'm down on some things, and that's kind of how the market's been. Overall, though, the market is down. The Dow was up like 150 points. It looked like it was going to be a good start to the day or a good start to the week, but everything is kind of turned down. But it's not down to the point to where anybody should be in freak out mode. It's just kind of chilling. It's just a boring ass day.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I'm actually having a solid day. I'm up 2.5% on the day.
Yeah.
Clover doing Clover things. Clover decides to run this morning. So because it's a big position in my account, it obviously plays really well. Palantir did well for one of my big winners today. Bank of America calls finally started moving. Other than that, those were the big guys. Those are the big guys that played out. So we'll see how this works out. PayPal or Meta Platforms did well. PayPal seems to be doing well. Do you think? I mean, just asking a direct question regarding PayPal. Is it on its way back? Or is the worst behind us?
It sure feels like it. I mean, it feels like the worst was right around $200. It retested $200 a couple of times over the last couple of days since their earnings. So it looks to me like on the chart itself, I think that it actually is potentially the bottom has come in. Now, I mentioned that the worst case scenario could be around $180, but it looks like investors continue to want to buy this thing at 200. So let's take a look at the daily, so you guys can see after their earnings this significant gap down. 200 was really the bottom here, and we're starting to curl our way back up. So I wouldn't say that chasing it today seems like a good idea. I still think that this could come back to maybe around the 210, the 207 area. But it's a good day for PayPal, nevertheless.
Yeah, it is. Once it gets over 225, I'll be just a happy man.
Yeah,
I'll be singing. I'll feel like we're definitely back in the uptrend, whatnot. But this area is kind of a scary area. I would agree with you on not chasing. I'm laughing just because Ivan Broski, Fat Man Zoom, son of Fat Man Zoom.
What's up?
Fat Man Zoom, son of Fat Man Zoom.
Oh. When is that show coming back out?
I don't know. I thought it'd be ready any day now.
I know. Guys, let us know.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
The Last Kingdom.
Great show. Incredible show.
One of my favorites on Netflix.
We've been leaning towards more engaging you guys on topical stuff.
Yeah.
Either things we're talking about currently or just what's going on in the market. And I really want to do more of this where it's, you guys are like feet on the street. So we're obviously talking, we're trying to do research beforehand, but once we go live, there's a lot of things we can't see. So definitely let us know what you're watching, what you got your eye on.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? This is a community. This is us working together side by side. This isn't us knowing more than anybody else. It's really just, hey, we come together and sort of we compare notes or whatnot. So, every time we kind of ask you guys for those type of things, we always get really good information. I mean, most recently, you look at something like Marqeta was a stock that I believe Rajiv brought to the table that I had no idea about. And it's absolutely a stock we would be looking at. But those type of things, I want to just encourage more of and cultivate within our community. So guys, throw them in the chat. We'll try as much as we can to engage you guys to make this a little bit more conversational. But on that note, Arnie Vaneker says, Spirit is having an amazing day as well. And Arnie, it is having an amazing day. Boeing is also having an amazing day.
Yes.
And Boeing has had made news about, I think it was like 2 freighters getting ordered by Emirates Airlines. And they talked about their demand for freighters, which was really high. And then they talked about potentially the 787 Dreamliner, but really being close to deliveries again. So all good news. And Spirit, obviously, huge player for Boeing. It moved with Boeing, but Boeing, it's safe to say, was the move today.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the freighters because that is interesting. We've had a little bit of concerns about just airlines in general.
Yeah.
And they've had a tough go, and we didn't really anticipate to this extent. Is it time to just shift over to like Boeing and Spirit? Because, yeah, you benefit from the airline orders, but now you're benefiting for freighter. So like cargo and things like that really have nothing to do with passenger airlines or whatnot. So is that the play, like a Boeing, a Spirit?
Yeah, I think so. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks now, that industrials are going to have their day. And, something like this order from, as far as the freighters are concerned, could certainly, be a catalyst. And I just kind of want to direct everybody's attention to the chart on Boeing too. We could be starting to reverse the trend here a little bit. You guys can see that there's been some lower highs on Boeing, really essentially for the last 9 months. Since March, we've been seeing this downtrend on Boeing, and we can go look at Spirit Air Systems, and it's something similar, not exact, but it's pretty close. And you can see that, we're starting to see that today. It's now up over the 200-day moving average now, and it looks like it might be closing over the 200-day moving average. So this looks good on the chart from as far as Boeing's concerned as well. And I'll direct your attention back over to Spirit Air Systems, not be to confuse with Spirit Airlines. They're two different companies. So Spirit Air Systems creates the ailerons and fuselages for Boeing. And so you look at this chart's a little bit different. You can see how this has kind of been a little bit of a crazy pattern lately, but resistance up here around $47, $48 a share. I think that we could certainly see some excitement surrounding around this if we get it back up over there, obviously as well above the 200-day moving average. Both of these companies, I think, are going to keep doing well. And again, Fat Man Zoom, for those of you guys haven't been here for a while, we look at the upside to Spirit. This is the weekly chart. Here's where it was pre-pandemic. We got a long ways to go. This is sitting up at $92, $93 a share. With it trading at 47, I mean, we have a chance at potentially doubling Spirit. And we've been talking about it for the last year, hoping for the time for Spirit's day to get here. And it could be very, very soon on Spirit. Going back to Boeing, not really the same situation, but it's close. I mean, Boeing was sitting around 378, 380 pre-pandemic. And here we are now with it sitting around 233. So 75% move to the upside to get back to pre-pandemic levels. I think there's lots of room for this to run on both of these stocks.
Yeah, either one, you're good, and I'm excited about both those stocks. I'm really intrigued, but I do feel confident about Boeing moving forward. So that's the news we had today. Hopefully it continues to run. We'll keep an eye on it. And I just want to point out, it was on the watch list this morning. We have a free daily watch list. If you guys are interested and you don't get the daily watch list, I have no idea what you're doing because it's free. It costs nothing. Click the link in the description. It'll take you to onlychaos.com where you can click get a free watch list. You'll get 5 stocks every morning before the market opens. Boeing was on there. That conversation was had. So anyways, moving on, that was certainly a topic of discussion. I also just want to point out that we talked about Bitcoin and Stock Watch Sunday. We talked about crypto in general. Bitcoin's still pulling back a little bit. You think it falls back down under 60, or do you think it's kind of settled out here and going to stay here?
Let me take a look at this. So I have the 5-minute pulled out. Let me bring it back out to the daily. Let's take a look, see what's going on here. So I think there's potential for this. This kind of like went sideways for a while and settled out around 60,000. I think 60,500 ish, or you could even make the argument that just 60,000 could act as a support. And so I think that there's potential for it to come back down here. But it also had this little bit of a resistance right around 63.5, which is where it's hovering around right now. So first support, which I think is a little bit more of a weak support, is around this 63.5. but the stronger support to me is around 60. So if it doesn't hold this 63.5, then I think it's very likely that it'll hold that 60,000 mark. But it's had such a monster run. It needs to kind of cool off and go sideways for a little bit before making the next leg up.
Yeah. Where would you add on? Because you're now hold Bitcoin. Where would you add on to Bitcoin?
I'm looking for the 60,000 mark.
Okay.
If it comes down to 60,000 and holds there, then I'll be looking to add to Bitcoin there.
Yeah. All right. We'll certainly keep an eye on that. Arnie says Twitter seems to be leveling out. Do you think it's a buy? I don't really look at Twitter a lot, but I don't know if you've
I haven't either.
looked at the chart recently.
I only look at it when we need to, like during earnings and stuff.
Yeah.
Twitter has continuously struggled to make money, and that's been the ongoing story with Twitter forever.
Yeah.
And now they're I think I heard that they finally are piloting the did they pilot it, or is it in full effect? I guess like their premium version or whatever, like you can edit tweets and shit, which I think is just bullshit. I'm not paying to edit my tweets. But nevertheless, that's another, I guess, stream of revenue they're trying to create. So, I think with Twitter, there's some promise there. It's just been a struggle. I love the platform. I love Twitter. That's my most used social media platform I have. But as far as the stock and the company is concerned, I think it might still be a little bit on the struggle bus. We take a look at the chart too, and it kind of reflects that as well. Let's take a look at this. There's no real change in direction here, in my opinion. I don't see that. It's having a decent day to day, and maybe it continues. But I think the more likely scenario is that maybe this actually comes back down to perhaps test that $50, 49.5 area before maybe making the move back up. But right now, I don't see any kind of trend reversal here. Still looks ugly to me. Got to see some more buying return.
Yeah. So their premium service, Twitter Blue is what it's called, is launched. I agree. I don't think that should be a premium service. However, from an investor perspective, great. You have revenue. I'm not sure what the adoption is going to be like on that.
Yeah.
However, you can add services, so it could evolve and it can turn into something else. Do you think the best days of Twitter are behind them from a social media perspective, and I mean just from a stock perspective?
That's a great question. The stock was up to $80.75 at one point.
The only reason I say that is because, and maybe this requires a different vision, maybe it requires different leadership or whatever. I still don't understand how two major publicly traded companies have the same CEO.
Yeah.
I can't. And I mean, I know Elon may have two publicly traded companies at one point. But even then, I'd still be like, not a great look.
Yeah.
Especially when one of them, like Twitter, is struggling. The reason I say that is because when you think about the model, it's arguably sustained itself better than any other platform.
Yeah.
Right? Instagram had to evolve from photos to video.
Yeah.
Facebook's dying. There's no doubt about Facebook's not even close to the lead. Instagram surpassed Facebook, and arguably there's probably 3 or 4 past that. When you look at, and Pinterest has had their struggles, but like when you look at the platforms, like Twitter still used kind of the same basic model and it's still relevant. And a lot of these platforms get so saturated that it's hard to get that organic reach. You can still have organic reach in Twitter. So when you just look at it, like if it was like a fixer-upper house, it has great bones, in my opinion, and the right leadership, I think, could turn this ship around.
I agree. I just don't understand why they're having such a hard time making money. The search function on Twitter, the hashtag searches, the cash tag searches, especially for us that are in FinTwit, are incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, if you're a trader, if you're an investor, that you gravitate towards Twitter. So I agree. I love the analogy, good bones. It does. So for that reason, I don't think that the best is behind us. I think there's certainly potential there, but they got a lot of work to do. And I just don't know how they've struggled to make money off of this platform.
Well, I think their problem has largely been they just try to copy. And I'm not opposed to that for certain things, but like the revenue model won't work for Twitter. Like, when was the last time you bought something off of Twitter? So I don't think you can go the route of like Instagram, Facebook, where you're like trying to do a shop.
Yeah.
I think you got to look for revenue different ways, and advertising revenue in other ways. So, you think about newspapers kind of died. trying to find their space. Like maybe there's a premium service for them that they pay for and there's certain access, or maybe there's ways to create communities in there. But you look at the monetization and, like somebody who did do it well, LinkedIn does it really well. They do, like, they don't try to compete with Instagram and the like, and they make really good money on advertising, but they don't try to sell, like you're not shopping, right? They focus on job creation, job classified, premium in-mail, stuff like that. And so how does Twitter create their own niche like LinkedIn has found a way to do?
Yeah.
There's money out there. It's just, how do you approach it?
And I think that you're right. I think that, in my opinion, the only way that changes is if you change the leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, how long does Jack need to be there for this to just fall on its face?
Do you think he actually helps? Like, do you think Twitter would benefit from a new CEO?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I agree.
I think they would big time. And I don't know, who do you put in there, right? I don't know who you would. But I think Jack's doing a disservice to Twitter because of the time spent on both Twitter and Square, because I think we could both agree that Square is the better performing company and stock over Twitter.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, it's positioned in such a great place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's apples and oranges, right? The comparison, but just from running like a well-oiled machine, the operation side of it, all of it, I think it's just so much better run on Square, which Jack is the CEO of, than he is on Twitter. Twitter almost at this point seems like a passion project for him, and it's almost like he could not care less about what happens to it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out because we use it so much, and it's actually a really great platform. I think there's still juice left in it, but like whatever their plan is, I'm unsure of. I'd be interested to hear an earnings because I actually haven't went through an earnings. But moving on, some people talking about Disney, some people are talking about Tesla. What are your thoughts about Tesla by the end of the year? Will we hit 1,500? For those of you who weren't in Stockwatch Sunday,
it's funny that you asked that, Fat Man Zoom, because I put a Twitter poll out today.
Okay.
So I ended up sharing with everybody before we went live that a couple of options here that I gave people, and I'll share you guys.
Okay.
So I said, where do you see Tesla just by the end of the month? We're not even talking about the end of the year, just by the end of the month. Above 1,000, and we have 106 votes that are in. Above 1,000 was 30%. Above 1,200 was about 11.3%. So sentiment's pretty low above all-time highs. Below 900 was probably the general consensus by the end of the month. And then below 800 was another 23.5%, which I thought was pretty shocking that a lot of people thought that we would see this below 800.
I was almost going to tell you to let me guess because I feel like those polls are so predictable.
Yeah.
But I will be honest.
If this was a green day, you think it would have been different?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm surprised. Like I for sure thought above 1,000 would blow it away.
Yeah.
And above 1,200, above 1,000, only 30% like didn't win. That blows my mind. So kudos to the community for not being unbiased. For not being biased. Below 900 actually seems like the more reasonable answer because 800 is possible, but it's probably the percentages play out.
Yeah. I
think 800 is more likely to happen than 1,200, especially because of the pressure it's seen now and with Elon news. But that's a good poll. I kudos to Twitter because they usually are smoking crack. Serious.
I thought that it was a surprisingly large number of people that thought this would be below 800 by the end of the month. We got 2 weeks to go. We're smack dab in the middle of the month, and it's sitting at 1,000. So 23.5% think that this is going to drop another 20%. So that's very interesting, I thought. But you look at this, and I told you guys that there's still a lot of room for this to, kind of correct itself. 889 I mentioned last night was that 50-day moving average, and the 200's all the way down at 732. So this could come all the way down to $730 a share, and still have bullish sentiment to it. So that's the potential correction this could have. And just some clarification, Fat Man Zoom. I did a little bit more digging. Sought this out from Dave Lee Invest, and you guys know if you don't go follow him, I would encourage you to follow him. He's really solid, especially if you are looking for some Tesla information. But he kind of broke this down a little bit more simply on YouTube than what we were trying to pick through on Twitter. So if he sells 17 million shares, which would be 10% of his stake, which we determined he'd already sold around 5 million. So he's got a little bit to go. He'll pay capital gains of $4.2 billion, 24%. On top of that, he still has to exercise those shares that he has in the form of options by August of 2022.
Yeah.
That gets taxed from a capital gains perspective
at a higher rate,
50%.
Yeah.
That's crazy. 53% tax he needs to pay on 22.8 million shares worth of options. Craziness. That would be around over $12 billion in taxes that he would be paying combined between the shares that he said that he would sell and the options that he has to exercise by the end of August of next year. He's also selling the low basis on shares on purpose to pay more taxes. So the cost basis he has, the lowest cost basis he has on the shares that he owns, he's paying more because he's made more profit on those. Obviously, the thing that's making everybody scratch their head is that he could sell the higher cost basis and pay less taxes, but he's not. He's choosing to actually pay more.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that I was thinking about. I probably shouldn't bring this up live. I probably should check outside, but I'm just going to say it. One is, I realized this yesterday. Does he have a cost basis or does he not?
He does.
And the reason why I say that, I know Dave Lee said he has a cost basis. A cost basis implies that you paid something for it.
So Elon responded saying that he was paying the lower cost basis shares.
No, that's not what I'm saying. As a CEO, he doesn't put his money into it. That's what they give him. Do you see what I'm saying?
CEOs can put their money into it, but yes, so some of
because those options were given to him as part of his compensation.
But the par value of that is at different prices depending on when you get it.
Okay, so essentially the company paid, and that's what I don't know about how they do that. It's like the company essentially paid that difference.
Yeah.
Right. So they somebody's got to pay for that.
The Treasury.
The Treasury.
Yeah. That's where the shares come from. They're authorized shares.
Okay.
So authorized shares are not traded anywhere else. You have the set amount of authorized shares. So incentives will come from that authorized shares, I guess bank we'll call it. And so, he meets a certain goal or whatever, and then there's a certain par value based on that agreement of those shares. So obviously, depending on where he got those shares from, there's different par values for each incentive.
Okay, so that's like what shows up on the balance sheet as far as like compensation. Yeah. All right, so there's the cost basis. Is it possible? Again, I haven't watched all of Dave Lee. What he's saying makes sense. There's an income component to the options. He has to sell the options, so there's taxes there. I get all of that. Is it possible that, like, we do options?
Yeah.
Options, obviously, there's like less leverage in options, right? But also, options have greater upside. Now, I'm just saying this like no research, no nothing. Might be the dumbest point in the world. But is it possible that he's selling shares for the same reason we would sell shares, like instead of options? Because if you think the stock's going to go up, your options will be worth more, or no?
Well, he still has to exercise the options.
True. The options get exercised no matter what. Dave Lee's point was you should the cheaper route is to do what? All options.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And to sell shares that had a higher cost basis. That was like one of the bigger key points is like, he's not selling the higher cost basis shares.
Yeah.
He's selling the lower ones.
Then forget about that point. Because I thought he was saying to sell more options. He's got to sell the 822 options. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
But I thought he was saying to sell more options than even that aren't expired yet.
Yeah.
I thought that's what he was saying.
Yeah, no. So the big key takeaway was that he was selling the lower cost basis rather than higher, and basically maximizing his the taxes he has to pay.
Yeah, maybe there's an ulterior motive. I mean, there's a possibility that Elon's just doing what he thinks is fair. Right? Like logically, you'd be like, you don't need the money there. That's clear.
Yeah.
But logically, like, if you were just creating the market from scratch, you would make people sell the oldest shares, right?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't let them find the loophole. So maybe he's just like, it doesn't matter anyways. Like,
I think it's the ultimate troll for the government. He's basically saying, like, all the politicians that are saying, the billionaires have to pay their fair share. If he does pay his fair share and they're still crying about it, he can just be like, I maximized my taxes that I had to pay. My hands are clean of this.
yeah.
And now
yeah.
now you all can shut up and stop telling me that I need to pay more taxes. Like I didn't jump through any loops, didn't do any of that. That's just my theory. I think it's all bullshit anyway. I don't think I think I would much rather have Elon's money in the hands of Elon rather than the government. But if people are raising their hands and crying about it, and he's at least saying, "Here you go. I did my part. Now leave me alone."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I listen, I wish more CEOs did this, and I couldn't care less why he's doing it or what the speculation is. The fact is he's doing it.
Yeah.
And as much as, like, again, honestly, it just feels like it's reinforcing my point is like Elon hasn't done anything that, like, as much as people want to think that there's these ulterior motives and like this shadiness or whatever it is, like, number one, he usually does what he says he's going to do. And number two, he's not really screwing anybody. So in this example, the only person that's really getting screwed is himself.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And I respect sort of how he's doing that. People will still have an issue and not think he pays his fair share no matter what. So I don't think that matters, but it remains to be seen. I think the key is going to be, does he actually sell 10% of his stake? Because he could still sell the lower cost basis shares and end up distributing the same amount of money. So like if he sells 10%, he definitely was better off. If he's like, I'm just going to sell 10%, he's better off selling the higher cost basis. But if he's just trying to get to a number, actually, if you sell the lower cost basis, you will sell less shares. So,
yeah.
So I think there's a possibility he doesn't actually sell 10% of his stake. I think he could be just saying an arbitrary number around 10%.
Yeah, maybe.
So
lots of hypotheticals still.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But definitely check out the breakdown on that by Dave Lee. And it really boils down to how not only cost basis, I think the bigger point is how it gets taxed, how his options get taxed as income, and how his shares get taxed differently as well. So We'll see.
All right. So we are winding down towards the end of the close. Lucid is the big stock on the docket as far as earnings are concerned. Obviously, we've heard some really good news from Lucid over the last couple of weeks. They're now delivering some of the vehicles that have been ordered and purchased. So that's all good stuff. But what's in store for them for earnings? Now, taking a look at the stock today, it's actually up another 3% going into earnings. That looks like there's a couple of last-minute investors that are trying to get it in before earnings show up. Actually, some pretty decent volume showing up in here, just looking at the chart. Don't have an official number on that, but looks like there's some nice volume coming in here towards the end of the day, last 20 minutes. I wouldn't be chasing this at all going into earnings. And I think that I'd be very nervous about if I was a shareholder that got into the 40s, only because we're expecting a loss from Lucid. And I think that that's a given. I think that we'll see that, from them, but really, are we going to see anything as it pertains to the shortages on the supply chain? How is that affecting Lucid? Obviously, we know that it hasn't really affected Tesla all that much. GM did mention that they're back online, full stop, that they don't have any issues. They're going to start manufacturing vehicles like they were. And they've worked through some of the supply chain problems, especially with the chip shortages. Is Lucid going to run into this problem too, especially given as much as this has run up, Fat Man Zoom?
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I tend to think that the momentum's too strong. I think for the long term, middle of next year, towards the end of next year, you're going to have to start actually producing numbers or showing rate of growth. But the fact that they have deliveries, I think they're actually ahead of the game. And so I think I actually am extremely bullish about these earnings. And I also think that as long as they paint an optimistic picture around deliveries and minimize the supply chain, I actually think this has the potential to continue to go, because you think about the other companies that are still not delivering and some not even producing. I don't think the market cares about debt growth, like anything other than the fact of like, are you delivering?
Yeah.
And that's a huge win for them.
Yeah. Estimated earnings per share is at a loss of 25 cents. This is according to Yahoo Finance. I think that they'll probably come in somewhere around there. I would be surprised if they actually beat that number. Not to say that I'm bearish on Lucid, but you look at the valuation. Obviously, it's at $72 million market cap. It's up right there with GM. It's above Ford's, I think, as well. So, and and everybody else is below them. So I'm not saying that Lucid can't go up or can't continue to go up. I'm just saying that, this is certainly something that I wouldn't like the risk reward on this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Rivian. It's hard to justify getting into it.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a day traders type deal, short term type deal. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a reckoning, whether it's now after earnings or down the road. At some point, they're going to have to really show like, hey, we're stepping our game up. I think that it's going to eventually have a sell off, a substantial sell off. And we see, Tesla's producing 1 million vehicles nearly, and it had it's almost at like a 25% sell off. So anybody could fall victim to that.
Yeah. So looking at the stock right now, it looks like there might be some earnings that have been released right at the bell. So right now the stock is down. It was down as much as 2.5%. Now only down around 1.5%. Continue to watch this. This is the 1 minute chart that you guys are looking at right now. We'll continue to keep an eye on this as earnings numbers do come in. As soon as they hit, we'll certainly give them to you. I did have Ideanomics on here, but Savvy Money Show, I was just taking a look at that as we were live. I think that Ideanomics, IDEX is a ticker symbol. A lot of you guys who are watching are fans of that stock. I think they delayed earnings. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't know when those earnings will be coming out. Also, just real quick, I know that this might not generate a ton of interest, but Advanced Auto Parts also has earnings after hours. And I'm very interested to see how this will go, because this is going to impact how used car sales are looking still, and just new cars in general, especially with the chip shortage, because Advanced Auto Parts has been an absolute monster.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize just how much the stock has moved. Between Advanced Auto Parts and AZO, which is AutoZone, they've been monsters. They both hit all-time highs today. Advanced Auto Parts has earnings, so that'll definitely be one to certainly keep an eye on as well.
Sorry, earlier some Rajiv, I think, asked about Home Depot. Nate asked about Baba. It does have earnings Thursday pre-market. We'll review those Thursday after hours when we go live at 3:30. And then Home Depot tomorrow morning pre-market. We did talk about that on Stock Watch Sunday. They have earnings pre-market tomorrow. We're bullish on them. It's been a great chart. It's been a great run, but we still think there's upside for Home Depot.
Yeah. Don't think the train stops. All right. So any luck on the Lucid numbers yet?
Well, people are just tweeting out some quotes from CEOs. So they basically reaffirmed the deliveries. 20,000 vehicles delivered for 2022. They reaffirmed that. They also mentioned 13,000 reservations in Q3. And they're seeing significant demand for Lucid Air and accelerating reservations.
Yeah, it looks like the stock turned red pretty sharply and is starting to fight its way back into the green, perhaps on some of those comments. As soon as we have earnings per share and revenue coming in, we'll certainly give that to you. So right now, we're still just waiting on the official numbers from Lucid. It's been a little bit all over the place since the close. Right now, it's down around, it's pretty much flat in after hours, and we're green. Boy, as soon as that turned green, it shot up. Oh, man, here we go. Lucid is now moving pretty sharply here to the upside. It's now up 1% after hours.
Keep rolling, dog. Uh-oh.
As soon as we have the numbers in there, we'll give them to you guys. But it closed pretty damn near the high of the day. Lucid did. So a huge rush of people, investors coming in, and it actually is now trading above where that high of the day was.
Nate wants a Roblox move.
Yeah, that would be crazy, right?
Who's in Lucid? Is anybody in Lucid?
Yeah, shout us out, guys. Put it in the chat. Who's in Lucid right now? Luke says Chuck Walter Bloomberg. Twitter numbers are there. Loss says IDX won't report. Is that true? Yeah, so they delayed their earnings. So sorry about that.
Liam's in. Jeff Chow's in. Shin's in. Rajiv's in. Nate. Ooh, we got a lot of people in. JB. CJ Paul. Man.
Some calls.
Coolcom got puts.
Tiger's Edge got a $25.
What's up, Don Fran? From the Don Fran Show.
What up, Don?
Latifa got 150 shares. There we go.
Hopefully they're all very low cost bases. If you guys are just tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already. We do go live every day, Monday through Thursday at 3:30 p.m. We'll give our reactions to any of the earnings that are coming out, as well as whatever's going on in the market. We give our general thoughts and opinions on stuff that's happening in the here and now. And we're owning the chaos. The stock market's crazy and chaotic, and we made our mission to help you own it. So if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure you're hitting that subscribe, that notification bell, all of that good stuff. And we're waiting some more of the numbers that are coming in from Lucid.
I didn't realize this was announced today. For some reason, I thought it was announced before, but Lucid, it was announced that Lucid had won the Motor Trend's Car of the Year, beating out Porsche and Mercedes.
Yes.
That was actually announced today. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was earlier today, I believe. I think I saw that. Yeah.
Very good timing.
I still was looking at the what is that? The ESG.
Yeah, the Mercedes.
Yeah, that thing still looks so good.
EQS.
EQS. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. I've been saying ESG too much. But yeah, EQS looks good. I still think that if I was going to get if I was going to buy an EV and money wasn't a problem, I think that I would still probably go after the Porsche Taycan.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would go after. So Lucid's still kind of flat. It's been all over the place. It's gotten down to around 43.51, as low as that in after hours trading, and then went up to 45.59. And is now continuing to just kind of be flats down slightly around 1% after hours. But we'll just kind of sit here and give some more reaction here as the numbers continue to roll in.
So, I mean, here's the other thing about winning Motor Trend Car of the Year. Like, the good thing about Lucid is really the demand is going to be there. And obviously it shows that it's there because they already almost have reservations for 1 quarter for their entire demand of next year. And so ramping up, obviously if it's car of the year, there's a proven model, like, you sort of got that signing off on. So if this car legitimate, obviously the range is a huge factor over 500 miles. Like, that's big. As far as that's concerned, those reservations keep flowing in. The CEO did mention supply chain, but he said we're still going to hit that 20K number. However, you got to be cognizant of the supply chain. But there's no different than Tesla from the sense of, well, even if they can't fulfill that, the demand's still going to be there, and that bodes really well for Lucid.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the highlights from Lucid.
There it goes.
Just per their website, as Lucid continues to climb here, it's now up to 2% after hours. CEO said they continue to invest in the business, readying production and deliveries, globalization of the retail network, and adding a headcount across R&D. Initiated investment in property, plant, and equipment associated with phase 2 and their expansion. So that looks like that's online. They've received their EPA certification, which we had announced earlier in the quarter about the longest range EV production. EV which is pretty cool. 450 miles on a single charge. Nobody has a better one. And here goes Lucid. Holy shit. Now it's up 4.5% and climbing. Anything you got for me, my man?
No, they still don't have earnings per share numbers. Just the same numbers coming out, the bookings and the revenue, cash on hand, the 4.8 billion in cash.
Yeah, so the stock has continued to go up. It's now up over 5% after hours. What a move for Lucid after kind of like being a little bit wishy-washy here, but about 10 minutes in, and it's still going up.
Don asked a question. What goes to 75 first, Lucid or Neo?
Oh, that's a great question. They're around the same price, aren't they? Where's Neo at?
40.
40, yeah. I would say Lucid at this point. I'm going with American Car Company.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lucid.
Funny Pranks Gone Wrong says, my only good earnings YOLO this quarter.
Well, wait till tomorrow opens.
Yeah.
And you sell it and then tell me. But yes, I agree.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the stock's continuing to climb here. Really solid move, just kind of like out of nowhere. Was curious to see if there's any particular reason as to why, but I got nothing yet.
What do you guys think? Lucid or Neo to $75 first? I love the Rivian Knox. I love it, on Twitter now. It's like just common practice. Whenever you're talking about an EV, you always throw a jab at Rivian. Somebody's like, Rivian expects to deliver 20,000 vehicles, or sorry, Lucid expects to deliver 20,000 vehicles in 2022, which is about 20,000 more than Rivian.
Yeah.
Ooh, Avon Hunter thinks
it's still going up.
Neo. You're going to be in the minority, I'm sure of that, Hunter. Mad Dixon, Neo. Shlomo says Lucid. Same shit before when people compare Nikola to Neo. No,
because Nikola.
Unless you mean.
Guess how many.
Rivian to Lucid. But yeah, I mean, are you comparing Lucid to Nikola? Is Lucid is that the analogy?
I mean, either way. Do you know how many cars that they sold?
Who?
Nikola in the last earnings report?
1 million.
Zero. Do you know how many they projected for next quarter?
0.
Yeah. Yep.
I think what he meant was Lucid and Rivian is like people were saying Nikola and Neo. I think those are saying.
I see.
Like Rivian hasn't delivered anything. However, Rivian will deliver vehicles. We know that.
Yeah.
Nikola will not. Highly, highly unlikely.
I can't believe they're not bankrupt already. I really can't.
What idiots are still giving them money?
I know, right?
Or not suing them for their money back.
All right, guys, you just tuning in. So Lucid released their earnings. We're still waiting on their earnings per share. Just some hard numbers here. They did release this out. I'm looking at their website, and it's really hard to find really kind of just solid numbers other than just kind of like their projections and what they're looking forward to. They did mention increased reservation volume, surpassed 13,000 reservations in quarter 3 for an estimated order book greater than 1.3 billion. They announced their Lucid Care detailing service, which could be some good recurring revenue. And the stock has gone up as much as 6% after hours and looking like we're seeing some pullback here a little bit. They did mention looking forward that they see significant demand for the award-winning Lucid Air with accelerating reservations as they ramp into production at their factory in Arizona, which, by the way, that's also where Nikola's factory is in Arizona. Obviously, Lucid doing much better. They remain confident in their ability to achieve the 20,000 units that they projected for 2022. And they also talked about expanding and that sort of thing. Their conference call won't be till 5 p.m. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. You can go on to their website. You can call in yourself and listen to that, or you can go on the webcast, what have you. But there was really no like earnings per share in their report as far as their website's concerned. So there was no solid revenue numbers. We'd have to take a look at the 8K whenever that pops out. I'm sure that we'll hear more about that on their conference call. But either way, they kind of painted a really rosy picture here, which obviously the investors are liking right now. And the stock's maintaining its gains here. It's now up almost 6% after hours.
Yeah. It's weird that they haven't brought out earnings per share. I guess they haven't had deliveries, or they won't have revenue because the deliveries didn't happen until this current quarter. Is that correct?
Yeah, but even Nikola gives earnings per share.
No, I was saying they haven't given earnings per share, but additionally,
yeah.
So like earnings per share, they haven't put that out. I can understand if you don't put out revenue because there is no revenue, but
true.
I don't understand why they don't have earnings per share out,
or at least a projected revenue.
Yeah, guidance.
Yeah, like what how much did you guys sell in this quarter so far? Like it could just be so far, and then they could project the rest of the quarter or whatever.
That's it's a red flag for me. While on the EV subject, GM, who once partnered with fake Nikola, says they'll catch Tesla by 2025.
Sure they will.
No chance in hell.
No.
Mike G, we will not have the call on this channel. We will not be here.
No. Yeah. We don't really participate in the calls in our live streams, only because they're later in the day and really they're boring as hell. Like you could listen to 45 minutes of the call and you can get like maybe a good 10 seconds of content out that we can share with everybody, which, you know, if there's something good, we'll bring it back tomorrow, but there's really no point. Doesn't make for good content listening to conference calls, unfortunately. Andrea Nicole, what cars do you drive right now? I drive a gas guzzling Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with 39-inch tires. And it gets 17 miles a gallon.
Does it really?
It's like 18, but yeah.
You got it, Mike G.
Thanks,
you
Mike.
Guys, definitely not boring. Thank you. They probably missed earnings per share.
Maybe. I don't know
if that matters. I mean, I think it's huge that they won Car of the Year. I don't think this can be understated. Like, you think about
Jeff Chow.
You think about as far as like, you know, if like Ford Lightning gets Truck of the Year, like whatever EV Truck of the Year, like that. That's free advertising, number one. Yep. But then as far as like legitimizing a brand, to me, that's a huge deal. Perfect timing as they're just starting to get deliveries. I think the question is like, how much then can they build this backlog, the pipeline of demand, and then subsequently, can they execute their Arizona location without any hiccups? Like, can you ramp up? Can you scale to be able to ramp up production and sustain it? Like, that is going to be their challenge. Elon's talked about it. You know, the scalability piece is just so challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, oh man, this is still going higher. Look at this. Now it's 7%.
Lucid will crash. Lucid lying just like Nikola. I disagree.
I would be curious to see like if they give us any kind of projection on a path to profitability too, because obviously it took Tesla pretty much 9 years to get to profitability, and they started producing cars at mind-blowing speed, right?
Yeah.
This 20,000 car, I guess delivery number is I guess a humble beginning for Lucid. But how are they going to catch up to somebody like Tesla who plans on delivering 1 million cars next year? And they're probably going to surpass that.
Yeah. I don't think they need to.
You think the stock goes up regardless?
Yeah. I don't think anybody has expectations of Lucid beating Tesla.
My point is though, like if you look at Lucid, it's roughly a tenth of the market cap that Tesla is.
Mm-hmm.
So would the expectation be that they would deliver at least a tenth of the cars that Tesla delivers? Like if we're going to compare valuations of EVs, and let's just like throw out all the other numbers that we're going to compare them to like a legacy company, and we're just going to go strictly EVs, like Rivian, for example. Is there going to be an expectation that they produce at least, from some sort of ratio compared to their market cap or valuation on deliveries? Does that even matter?
I don't think it matters. I think rate of growth matters more than that. Like, It's like saying, I don't know offhand what Walmart's revenue comparatively to its valuation, but it should be in line with Target's. Like, I would bet that it's not. But the growth, right? Like companies may have lower values, but greater growth, and that could get them moving.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is so I don't think it's, hey, because Tesla's here, these other companies are going to be there. I think people are just looking at it as like, this is just growing so rapidly. Tesla's not going to be able to meet all the demand. And so really it's like a number two sort of deal. And I do, honestly, I think profitability matters less in EVs than anything else, because I think it's like casinos. Like, how can we get as many people as possible now? Do whatever you can, spend money. I don't agree with it, but I just think nobody cares right now because they just want to just get as many people as much market share as they can.
Yeah.
And figure out later. I do think there will be a reckoning, though, just like we said, as far as deliveries are concerned. I think there's going to be a reckoning as far as profitability is concerned.
Yeah.
Down the road. May not be next year, but the next couple of years, I think it's going to be, hey, that's great, you're selling cars, but are you making money? And that's where, Ford to me would be like the pen of the EV industry. Like, they're not trying to beat Tesla. They're not even trying to they're obviously investing in it and going all in on it, but they're not trying to follow suit, right?
They're trying to continue to do what they're good at.
Yeah. And just steady and, just steady Eddie with it. And when the dust settles, they're still going to be there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's your approach where you got somebody like Rivian or whoever's coming in, and I think they're just trying to blow it up. But because there's so much excitement, nobody's focusing on profitability, and I don't think they care for now. But I do think in a couple of years that will matter more, is the profitability piece.
I agree. I like that. I like that perspective.
2023.
The Jukester, I appreciate the comment here. It says, I disagree that Tesla would deliver that many cars, meaning the comment that I made about 1 million cars next year. The chip shortage.
He disagrees at 1 million next year?
Yeah, he said the chip shortage is too insane to be able to take all those deliveries. While I respect that sentiment, I just want to point out that...
You're wrong. No. You're just pointing out that you're wrong.
Yes.
I'll bet you. Sorry, go ahead.
They're on pace to deliver 850,000 this year in 2020, where you could argue that the worst of the chip shortage was in this year.
Yeah.
And they're on the other side of it next year. So I think 1 million cars is very much on the table.
Yeah. 1 million's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not even, you could say they might not meet their projection for next year because of the chip shortage.
But they're selling 1 million cars.
But 1 million cars is like that. If they sell 1 million cars next year, their stock's going down because the market's going to expect at least 1.2 million. So yeah, 1 million cars, bro. Sorry. It's like, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, is this a real thing?
What's that?
Ford patented a charging cable that, when done, will allow you to charge your EV as quick as filling up your tank of gas at the pump.
That's huge. That's a game changer.
Savvy Money Show. Give me your source on that.
Is it just me that's disconnected?
I think so.
You're good?
I'm good on my side. Give her a refresh. But we got 249 of you guys hanging out. We appreciate you. We appreciate you hanging out and giving and reacting with us to the Lucid earnings report. If you guys could hit that thumbs up, we certainly would appreciate the love and support. Also, if you guys want to support us even further, go check out ownthechaos.com. Every single day, we put out a watch list for our Chaos crew members that are over at ownthechaos.com, and it's absolutely free. So we put out 5 stocks every morning just to kind of give you an idea of where we see the market headed and what stocks are going to make the biggest moves. If you guys want to go check that out, help support the studio you see behind us and the channel, go to ownthechaos.com. The link is in the description.
Last thing, Don says, I think Tesla showed everyone what could be done, and now people are hopeful. I absolutely agree. And I think that's why there's so much money flooding in. It's not even about people are looking for the next Tesla. And so that's what's pushing these prices up. And that's going to only last so long.
Yeah.
Biden officially signed the infrastructure bill.
Sweet. Well, we knew he was going to do that anyway.
So that is official. So see how the market responds tomorrow. If it matters, if it doesn't matter, we shall see. But what we do know is we'll be live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time.
That's right,
tomorrow.
guys. So we got a lot of earnings to talk about tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. But tomorrow is going to be a big day too. We have Walmart in the morning. Correct? Is Walmart in the morning? What else we got?
Home Depot is pre-market as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
I got you.
You got me. All right. I actually got it right here.
Okay.
So we got Walmart, we got Home Depot, we got Jumia, we got Aramark, all pre-market, after hours. Really not much after hours. Do you care about Lazy Boy?
Nope.
You care about Dolby?
I do not.
Dolby maybe gives you an inclination of Sonos, maybe. Yeah, really nothing after hours. So we'll still be here.
Yeah, we'll give the reaction to some of the stuff that's happening in the morning. I'm really excited about Walmart to see where that goes. I think it's just been a big laggard compared to some of the other stocks like Target and Costco, some of those other ones. So that's definitely going to be one to watch for. So we'll give a reaction to that tomorrow, guys. And that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up on your way out the door. And Fat Man Zoom, anything else for the people?
That's all I got. Bye.
Bye. Peace out.